Spontaneous Sportsman. I'm here duck hunting. You can see the river here behind me. Duck hunting is the funnest hunting that I have ever done. And I'm going to go over a couple of tips for someone that's just starting out to know. Always know that you need a duck hunting license, which in New Mexico is called a general hunting license. You could get a general hunting and fishing combo, or just a general hunting license that includes small game. You'll need a federal duck stamp, which is actually a stamp that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has you buy. You'll have a HIP number, which is a survey you do for free, and that HIP number asks you how many migratory birds you killed the previous year, and then you get this number on your license from New Mexico. And the fourth thing you're going to need is a Habitat Management Access Validation stamp. Whether you're hunting or fishing, you always need to buy that mandatory stamp. So those are the four things for your license. The other thing that's crucial to have if you're going to be duck hunting is going to be a good pair of binoculars, which I always have on me. That way you can spot them from long distances. Of course, you're going to need a shotgun to hunt the ducks with. This is a 12 gauge Beretta. It's got a sling, which makes it easier to carry while I'm walking. This 12 gauge is semi-auto, so once you pull the trigger, the shell automatically ejects and loads another shell. You can't use more than 3 shells in your shotgun at any point in time. So that means 1 in the chamber and 2 in the magazine. You're going to need a plug in this shotgun, so you can't load more than 2 shells in the magazine. Let me show you what a shotgun shell looks like. This is going to be a shotgun shell. Make sure you get if you have a 12 gauge shotgun, make sure you get a 12 gauge shotgun shell. So this is basically what it looks like. It's a Winchester Super X 12 gauge. This is a 3-inch shell, so it's 3 inches long. 1 1/4 ounces of still shot inside here. So the round shot is going to be, it's going to weigh a 1 1/4 ounce, and it's number 2 shot, and that number 2 means the size of the ball that's in here, all the little balls that are in here. You can get away with 3 or 4. Usually for geese, you're going to use BBs or triple B, but whatever you do, make sure that you get still shot or non-lead shot. It doesn't have to be still, but it has to be non-lead. The reason for that is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife found that a lot of ducks and other species were getting lead poisoning from all the lead shot back in the way older days, from the ducks eating this lead and ingesting it. So then this was there was a regulation created to make hunters use non-lead shot, and it affects fish too. So a lot of the fishermen nowadays are using they're going to be using lead-free weights. One of the crucial things I think you need if you're going to be hunting for anything is going to be your hearing protection, either over the ear or the kind that goes inside the ear, because you don't want to be out there hunting and exposing your ears to these really loud sounds over and over again, or else you're going to be asking people what, or if you're in Canada you say hey, you know. So I think that this is one of the most crucial pieces of equipment you need. You also need waders, because you're going to be in swampy land, lakes, rivers. You're going to be walking in deeper water. I would always get these chest waders that go all the way up to your chest. They're insulated for those cold days. It's crucial that you have waders. Non-essential stuff that you really don't need, but a lot of duck hunters have, are decoys, because like I said before, if you know where those ducks naturally want to go, you don't need to get them to your location. They're naturally going to go there. If you're hunting a place that they don't naturally go to and you want to attract them, yeah, decoys are not essential. You can kill ducks without decoys. The other thing you can do is jump shooting ducks. So basically what you do is you'll spot a duck either downstream or another part of the swamp you're at, and you go stalk them. When you get close enough, it's also called spot and stalk. So you're spotting them and then you're stalking them. And when you get close enough, they jump up. That's why it's called jump shooting. It's unethical to shoot them on the water. So the hunter will usually wait for them to get in the air and then they'll shoot. So it's not illegal, but it's unethical and considered unsporting to shoot them on the water. One of the hardest things, even though it's the most enjoyable of all the hunting you can do, it's also the hardest. And it's because of all the laws. And I'll show you that. One of the crucial things I always carry with me in my waders, always have them, is a proclamation. So this proclamation is going to basically show you all the rules and laws, regulations pertaining to migratory bird hunting. So in other words, in New Mexico, we have Interstate 40 going east to west. Interstate 40 is a major highway, and so that divides the state north and south. The north zone, according to this book, is going to open before the south zone, everything south of I-40. The other thing to remember is there's two flyways in New Mexico. The Central Flyway, which is east of the Continental Divide all the way to the Texas-Oklahoma line, and then the Pacific Flyway, which is west of the Continental Divide. The reason that's important to know that there's two flyways is the limit in the Pacific Flyway for ducks is 7. In the Central Flyway it's 6. And here's what I'm talking about when I'm telling you guys it's hard to hunt ducks if you don't know the rules. In the North Zone for the Central Flyway, that opens October 15th and it lasts all the way to January 16th. It's usually a 90-day season here. For the South Zone, Central Flyway, it opens October 24th and closes January 27th, 2019. In addition to that, you can kill 6 ducks total, but of those 6 ducks, there's sublimits. So only 5 of the 6 can be mallards, and only 2 of the 5 can be female mallards. Okay, so now we're going into the sublimits. The female mallard, any female is going to be harder to ID versus other females than the drakes are, which are the males. So a female is called a hen, the males are called drakes. Males are more colorful and they're easier to identify by their head, by their speculum in their wing, by the way that they look. Females are drab colored and they all pretty much look the same. But there's ways to tell them apart. So I would get a duck ID book if you're starting out, identification book, and start looking at the different types of ducks. There's 2 major categories: diving ducks that dive underwater to get their food, and dabbling ducks that kind of swim on top and then they just kind of bob back and forth like that. In those categories, you're going to have different species of ducks in those categories, and it'd be good to know those because of these sub bag limits. So like I said, 5 mallards, 2 of those can be hens, 3 scaup, 3 wood duck, 2 redhead, 2 hooded mergansers, 2 pintails, and 2 canvasbacks. If you kill teal, you can have 6 teal as your bag limit. Okay, anything that's not laned in this sub limit, you can kill 6 of. Okay, so it's important to ID your duck, because if you killed 2, if you're just starting your day and you already killed 2 female mallards, you can't kill a 3rd one, so now you got to be real careful to ID it in the air before you shoot at it. That's important. This is why this is so hard. That's why I recommend going with someone that's already done it, like a mentor, to kind of show you the ropes. That they can help you ID the ducks. Okay, you can hear them shooting behind me. Also knowing when you can shoot ducks during the day. Okay, so this will tell you you can shoot ducks half an hour before sunrise all the way till sunset. Okay, so one of the things that I would recommend is a GPS or a phone with an app that shows you when sunrise and sunset is where you're standing. That way you know you can hunt half an hour before sunrise all the way till sunset. Now there's also wildlife management areas in New Mexico owned by the Game and Fish Department that some of them are open to duck hunting. Those usually close at 1 p.m. Okay, it's not all the way till sunset. So you have to know all the rules in here before you go. This is a really hard sport to do, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes easy and it's super fun. Calls, you know, you don't need calls. They're not critical. Just like I said, decoys aren't critical. I have calls, but usually if you know where the ducks want to be, you don't need to call them in. Later in the season, the calls might even scare them because they've heard so many calls coming from the north going southbound to Mexico that they're not going to decoy into calls anymore. They're just tired of them. They don't want to hear anything. So that's one of the reasons I travel really light. It's basically binoculars, waders, gun, hearing protection, and that's about it. I mean, hopefully I can get some video of me shooting a duck today, and if I shoot any other species, you know, in here, one of the species you can hunt that are not ducks, common snipe, October 13th through January 27th, you can kill a total of 8 daily. Sora and Virginia Rail, September 15th, November 23rd, 10 singly or in aggregate. Common moorhen, September 15th to November 23rd, 1 daily. So those are other birds that are in here, and there's also geese you can hunt. So it's good to know all these season dates and the limits. So for ducks, where I'm at, the north central flyway, the limit is 6. So that means I can kill 6 ducks today. The possession limit is how many you can have in your freezer at any one point in time. That's triple the bag limit. So you can have 18 ducks in your freezer at any one point in time. If you have more than that, it's illegal. Okay? So knowing these limits is important. And always make sure, if you are out hunting and you find empty shotgun shells like I do, pick them up, because we want people to have a good opinion about hunters. All this litter around that is left here, it doesn't help people have a good opinion of hunters. So always pick up any shotgun shells or any other kind of rubbish that you see on the ground. I always try to clean things up after I'm there. So hopefully I can show you guys some shots and how I clean the ducks too. Okay. This is one of the techniques I was talking about. I'm in a blind here where they can't see me real well, and they will come in and land where they naturally do, even though I don't have any decoys out. This is known as decoying because you're waiting for them to come to you. You're not going to them like the spot and stock or the jump shooting. So if they're coming in, I can get up and shoot as they're landing, or if they've already landed and then I scare them up as I come up, I can shoot them as they're coming up. So this is what's known as decoying. Hopefully some come in before the end of the day, before dark, and I can get a few and show you guys the next step. I got lucky and was able to get a couple of different birds here. This is a common snipe, and they use these real long legs to wade around in the shallow water. They have this long beak and these stripes along the head, kind of a brownish bird. And these guys are more like a shorebird, and when they come out, they'll come out of the water, real shallow water, and they'll be hidden pretty good with this coloration, and they'll squawk, quack, quack, make a real loud squawking sound, and then they'll flush, and you have to shoot these guys quick. These guys were, you know, it's fictitious snipe. It's like a joke among people on the sitcom Cheers. To go way old school, they used to joke about a snipe hunt, that it was a non-existent bird, but this is actually what a snipe looks like. So I got a snipe, and this is a widgeon hen. You can see that it doesn't have a real lot of color on the head. The males have a white patch and then a green patch around the eye. This is kind of a drab looking duck, a widgeon hen female. And this is the identification book I told you guys about. They have these for free at all the Game and Fish offices, and you can go in here and just, if you knock something down, just look up what it is. They have pictures of the hens and the drakes, the males and the females, of all the diving ducks and all the dabbler ducks, puddle ducks. And you'll see, you can ID it pretty quick based on the head, the wing, the body. This will be very helpful for someone to have identification book. You're supposed to leave the wing attached of the snipe and the widgeon to the body. Now that doesn't mean you can't process it. It just means that you need to leave the wing attached, so if the game warden checks you, he can actually ID what kind of bird this was, to know if you're above your limit or whatever it is. You know, he needs to ID this bird, so you need to leave one feathered wing attached to the body. In the case of the snipe, it's such a small bird, I usually keep it whole. So I'll show you how I do that. Basically, I use game shears, and you can see these legs are they're real thin. So you can just cut these off. And then the head is very small, so you just cut that off. I mean, usually I'll leave the whole thing intact. So I usually just take all the skin off, and all the feathers come off with the skin, leaving one wing attached to the body till I get home. So the other wing I usually cut off, like this one is broken. I'll cut that off. And then what I'll do is this will just peel off, and then I can gut it. So it just comes off in one piece usually, but it's the skin and the actual feathers. They come off. As long as you have a feathered wing attached, you're good to go. And then once you get home, you can just cut that wing off, and you're already processed it. You got nothing left to do. Now these ones I'll put in the cooler after I gut it. You don't want to leave the guts inside. And then I'll show you how to do the duck. But basically, this is what it looks like after you process it. It's about the size of a dove, maybe quail size, between a dove and a quail. And that's what it looks like. Put it in the cooler. I'm going to gut it now, and then I'll show you how to do the duck. So, yeah, I wasn't able to get either of these shots on camera, but what happened with this widgeon is I was in the blind, and 3 of them flew over. I was able to get one of them out of that flock. Unfortunately, I didn't have the camera on, so I wasn't able to get that. With these guys, what I do is I leave the whole body intact, and what I do is take the breast out, and I take the body home in case it needs to be ID'd till I get home. So everything stays intact, and basically what I do is just take the skin and the feathers off from the breast part, and then cut the breast out. So let me do that real quick. Usually I'll take the feathers off first, because it's a little bit harder to just skin a duck. So I'm just pulling the feathers off. Quite often what I'll do is this skin here, I'll save it, because what you can do is boil that in water, and when it boils down, the fat will render out, and you'll have duck fat, which all the all the chefs love to cook with. French chefs, or it's really, really good to cook with. So you can render it out of the skin here. And once I peel this skin off, you'll see how much fat is on this duck. There's quite a bit of fat on a lot of these migrators, because they're usually headed from way up north, Canada ways, even further up, all the way down the flyway to Mexico for the winter time where it's warm. And they usually breed up north. On the bigger ducks, like a mallard, I'll keep it whole. But on the medium-sized to small ducks like this widgeon, I'll usually breast it out. And everyone talks about how bad duck meat is. It's really actually very good. You just have to process it the right way. It's excellent meat though. Don't let anyone steer you wrong. Duck meat is awesome. So what I'll usually do is I'll skin it from the breast downward. So I'll take my fillet knife and I'll make an incision on the top here. Not deep, but just big enough to get a finger under that you can pull that skin off with. And you just pull that skin, and then there's the fat in the skin. I'll show you a better piece. But basically what you're doing is just skinning it once you got those feathers off. Just skin that nice. You can kind of see the skin coming off. And there's your duck breasts. And then what I do is just kind of use this fillet knife to get both breasts off. You gotta be super sharp. And you just kind of follow the bone along the sternum here. So you can see how I'm cutting this. There's gonna be a wishbone here at the top. You're gonna cut along that wishbone and then cut it all the way off. So you can have a lot of feathers around, but you can rinse those off later. That's what your duck breast is going to look like. There's always a tenderloin, what I call it, and that's attached there. I usually pull that off. You have your breast and your tenderloin. I keep them separate. And then I'm going to keep this breast along with this other breast I'm going to take off in the cooler. And then the carcasses I put in another bag till I get home to make it legal. So that's how I do the ducks. There's a duck floating down the river. Got a mallard drake down, the dog's retrieving it.
Find it! Find it! Find it! Find it, Atlas! Find it!
It's along the far bank. The dog just got it.
Come! Find the bird! Sit! Over! Find it! Sit! Good boy! Come!
Dog's bringing back the bird.
Good boy! Hold. Good dog. Good dog. Heel.
Well, I knocked that floater down once it got off the water. It was a drake mallard. They have a real green head, yellow bill, kind of buff colored, and then a dark gray to white belly. This is a dabbling duck, so they'll swim and then kind of go up and down. On the dabblers, the legs are about the middle of the body. On the diving ducks, the legs are at the very back of the body, right by the butt. But this is the biggest duck really you can kill is a drake mallard. It doesn't have any jewelry, we call it, or it's banded. It'll have a band on its leg if it's got jewelry. This one is not banded, but knocked it down, and the dog, hopefully I got it all on the video. That was another hunter's dog that he lent me because it died on the far side of the river, so he was nice enough to let his dog retrieve it for me, which was awesome. That's one of the things about hunters, I'll tell you right now, it's a camaraderie. All the guys get along, usually, for the most part, and they'll help each other out because we're a family. Nice drake mallard. Okay, in the preparation of the duck breasts, usually what I do is I'll soak them overnight in salt water. So I'll get enough water to cover them up, and maybe a container like this one, and enough water to cover the top of them, and then put 2 tablespoons of salt, mix it up, and then add the duck breasts and let them soak overnight in the fridge. That way all the iron and all the blood get out of the duck breasts and they won't taste like liver for you. The other thing I didn't show you guys is that I take out the liver and the heart of the ducks, and I soak those overnight too in a saltwater bath. And these are liver and heart from the 2 ducks I got. And I'll just drain this here. The way I cook these liver and hearts is I'll get some Kerrygold butter. Kerrygold is unsalted, or you can get the salted kind, but Kerrygold butter. I cut this little piece, and I'll simply melt some butter along with a little bit of olive oil. Heat that up to about medium heat, and then I'll cut the heart into chunks. Slivers, really. If you have any little pieces of blood here, just take those out, like this piece here. So once your heart's cut up, you can fry it in the butter and olive oil mixture. So there's basically the heart. It'll have little pieces of blood. You don't really want to eat that. Just take that out. Here's the other heart. This is the widgeon heart. Looks like that. Cut that up. And you'll throw these pieces in here. Starting to crackle. Okay, you don't want it too hot, so the liver, I just keep these guys whole. They've been soaking overnight in the, let's see, I might cut this in half. Been soaking overnight in the brine mixture. So usually what I'll do is make sure any of these other pieces come off. Let that fry in there. As you can see, these pieces, they're not red, they don't have blood in them, because they soaked out, all that blood soaked out. The breasts are already processed, they're in the freezer now, and those soaked overnight in the saltwater bath. That's crucial too, to get all that blood, otherwise your duck's going to taste like, it's going to taste like liver. Add this piece of skin here. So this piece of skin will have a lot of fat. What you want to do is cut this piece of skin up into little pieces. So there's the fat there. Cut it into little strips. And then after I'm done with this, I'll cover this with water, and that fat will render out. Then you put, once all the water boils away, you put a paper towel over a mason jar and let the water soak out. So water will soak into the, any water that's left will soak into the paper towel, and the fat will go into the mason jar. I'm just going to cut this up, and then I'll soak this. Pepper. Add some salt. So you can see here, I'm going to render the duck fat out of this skin. Got some water there. We're just going to heat that water up till it evaporates, and then there'll be a little bit of water left, and then that duck fat will be there, and then you drain that. And this is the finished product of the actual liver and heart pieces. That's what it looks like when you're done. Okay, this is reduced to this real yellow looking water here. That's got fat in it, okay? And so what we're going to do now is I have this mason jar that's already got some duck fat in it from before. And we're going to put like a paper towel filter on top here, and we're going to pour that in here so it's going to filter through and just leave the fat, none of the water.